What would you do if you had just 13 days to decide the fate of the world? In October 1962, that was not a movie plot, it was reality. The sky over Washington was calm. Children were in school. Cars moved through the streets. But inside the White House, fear sat heavy in the room. On October 14, 1962, an American U-2 spy plane captured shocking photographs. The Soviet Union was secretly building nuclear missile bases in Cuba, just 90 miles from Florida. These missiles could strike Washington, New York, even Chicago within minutes. President John F. Kennedy was handed the photos the next morning. The evidence was undeniable. The Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev had moved nuclear weapons into the Western Hemisphere. The world had entered the most dangerous confrontation of the Cold War. Kennedy gathered a secret group of advisors known as ExComm. The options were terrifying: bomb the missile sites, invade Cuba, or try diplomacy. An airstrike could eliminate the missiles, but it could also kill Soviet soldiers, triggering immediate retaliation. An invasion might ignite World War III, yet doing nothing would leave America exposed. Meanwhile, in Havana, Cuban leader Fidel Castro believed another U.S. invasion was coming. Just a year earlier, the failed Bay of Pigs invasion had humiliated Washington. Now Cuba felt like the center of a global storm. On October 22, 1962, President John F. Kennedy addressed the nation on television. His voice was steady, but the message was chilling. The United States would impose a naval quarantine around Cuba. No more Soviet ships carrying military equipment would be allowed through. American warships moved into position. Soviet ships sailed toward the blockade line. The world held its breath. For days, tension escalated. Nuclear forces on both sides were placed on high alert. American bombers were ready. Soviet submarines lurked beneath the Atlantic. At one terrifying moment, a U.S. destroyer dropped practice depth charges to force a Soviet submarine to surface, unaware that the submarine carried a nuclear torpedo. The Soviet captain considered launching it. Only the refusal of one officer, Vasily Arkhipov, prevented a nuclear explosion. History nearly ended underwater. Back in Washington, letters arrived from Khrushchev. One was emotional and conciliatory, offering to remove the missiles if the U.S. promised not to invade Cuba. The next was harsher, demanding that America remove its own nuclear missiles from Turkey. The clock was ticking. Kennedy made a risky decision: publicly accept the first letter's offer and secretly agree to remove U.S. missiles from Turkey later. On October 28, 1962, Khrushchev announced that Soviet missiles would be dismantled and removed from Cuba. After 13 days, the world stepped back from nuclear war. No bombs fell, no cities burned, but the crisis changed everything. A direct hotline was established between Washington and Moscow. Both sides realized how close they had come to total destruction. The Cuban Missile Crisis was not just a political standoff, it was a test of nerves, leadership, and restraint. For 13 days, humanity stood on the edge of annihilation and survived. And perhaps the most frightening part? The world didn't even know how close it truly came to ending.